So what is philosophy? In spite of it all, and what it means, and what it could mean, and what it never means. Why would philosophy mean anything to you or me, and what it means and represents to all of us, and how it can hold us together and tear us apart, and that there is no answer. Fine, there's no answer, so what? I don't understand how no answer can't mean that we can't come to some kind of conclusion, whether or not it's real or not. But we're still investigating these ideas and still coming up to at least a decent conclusion to a thought or an idea. And being able to say, yeah, it's okay. I have no problem with those concepts or ideas. That we give those opportunities to say we tried. At least say we tried. But even if we don't come up with an answer, that means we disregard everything and just let everything slide on through and just let everything soothe and just be monotone and not even try to come to this awkward realization that the reality that we live in is nothing more than this fabric of reality that could be much more. Philosophy allows us to decide knowledge. Philosophy allows us to discover knowledge. What is knowledge? How is knowledge created? How is knowledge formed together to create ideas? What are those? What is distinct bottom line truth to it all? Whether or not we understand it, I don't think we ever will. But that doesn't mean we can't try to keep digging and finding stuff along the way, even if we end up at a dead end. That doesn't mean you stop digging. You know what you do? You choose whether to go left or right, and you dig horizontally until you find another gap. And then you go down even further. You just keep digging. And so what if you can't dig anymore? You go back to the surface, take what you've discovered, apply it to the world, and then you go back digging again, and you dig some more. What's wrong with digging? Nothing wrong with getting a little dirty every now and then, taking that shovel and impaling it into what we understand as reality. Nothing wrong with discovering knowledge. I don't understand that either. Like, whenever people walk up to me and say, hey, you're a Christian but believe in science at the same time? That's hypocritical. How, I may ask you, how do you find that hypocritical? Because God created everything. How did he create everything? He just did. Really. He just did. He just poofed it out of magic. Funny. Had it never occurred to you that maybe science could be the actual solution to how God created Earth? Could it be possible that for a second we could understand and conceive that maybe, just maybe, God created the universe using science? What's wrong with asking the quilter how he made the quilt? I don't know what the technical term for a quilter is, but we're just going to say quilter because, you know, English has a consistency like that. Because moose is mooses. Or meese, but it's not. It's just moose. Because goose is geese. Or gooses. Because, you know, consistency. Anyway, so we're going to ask the quilter how he made the quilt. We can't ask God how he made Earth. We can't sit there holding the quilt and being comfortable and cuddling in it, thinking about the fabrics, the string, the cotton and the yarn, the patterns and colors and designs that he decided to place on the quilt, the time it took, why it works, why it comforts us, and why it keeps us warm. Why it's delicate, why it's not meant to be warm. Maybe this kind of quilt is not one that's meant to be used to keep us warm. Maybe it's meant to be pretty. But even so, we're not allowed to ask the quilter how he created these things. We're just supposed to accept it and cuddle up into a ball and just keep warm and don't question anything. Why? I went to church a few weeks ago, and when I started listening to everything they said, I got confused. I got genuinely fairly confused. I seriously sat there and thought about what kind of things that the churches have been trying to teach us and the ideas. I'm a Christian. I believe that there is a man who came to earth and died on the cross for my sins, which is ironic, because I don't fully believe the Bible. That's a weird thing to say for a Christian to be saying, you know. Why don't you believe the Bible is real? And I'm not saying it's not real. I mean, I have a copy in my own house. I read it. I pray to God. You know, I use the Bible as a reference. And it's interesting because everybody looks at me and they're like, but you're a Christian! You're supposed to read the Bible! Okay. Let me ask you something. Who wrote the Bible? And most people would say God. God wrote the Bible. Okay. fine. We could say that God wrote the Bible, but it wasn't necessarily God. People wrote the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the men who wrote the Bible. And then there's some books that maybe not have made it to the final version, because they were edited out for political purposes. But even if we included them, human beings wrote the Bible, People wrote the Bible. People got together and said, we're going to write the Bible. And we're going to take what we learned from God and we're going to put it together and say, God created this. God is telling me that. But here's what's interesting. If you have this perfect water and a perfect system that cleans it out, we're going to say that water is knowledge, or we're going to say the ultimate source is God. God created the water, he's going to give it to us. What's interesting is to say that what if and only if, that filter, the last filter, is man. But that filter is dirty, it's filthy, it's nasty, it's got bugs and dirt and grime and rust, and it's nasty. In fact, it even has holes in it. So the water doesn't get fully filtered out. And then we're supposed to drink it and accept it as healthy and good for us. Mankind takes whatever God tells us and we wrote it into the book of the Bible. We are to take what we understand as God's word and put it in a book that could be potentially leaving us flawed. And I'm supposed to accept that as fact. That this is God's word. God said this. I'm sorry, we're sinners. We're broken. That doesn't matter what religion you are. We're broken. I don't think anybody really understands that. Like, everybody's like, but, I don't care. As soon as you factor in the fact that we're all sinners and we wrote the Bible, the whole thing falls apart. Which is why I say it's ironic that I believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins. What do you do about that? So I guess it's one of those conflicting ideas. Still, it's interesting that I turned to philosophy a little bit, because I can accept God, love God, even believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and still believe in a philosophy, and the philosophy we teach in classrooms. And whether or not those philosophies, though travel through many different religions, hold on to philosophy and what is knowledge, I don't think knowledge is a sin, per se. It's just not important when you're in heaven, which might be why it might be considered a sin in God's eye, because it's not important, it's no longer a part of heaven, because that form of logic no longer applies. You can study it all you want, there's nothing wrong with it, but to believe it's the sole reason of existence in this realm, sure. But if heaven and hell are a thing and they're real, that logic does not apply. It no longer has any holding. It no longer has any system anymore. So who are we to say that, I can't study science? It just means it doesn't apply in heaven. So there's nothing wrong with knowledge and finding the core point. Philosophy is about getting to the main point anyways. And if philosophy leads me to God, then who the hell is to tell me otherwise? I can't tell you to believe in God. I can't tell you to believe in Jesus. That's not the point. I can't tell you to go out in the world and go pray every day and expect you to be forced into a belief that you don't understand or know or understand or conceive. Because if you can't understand it, it won't do you any benefit. God works around us 100% all the time anyways. And if you can't conceive it, then in your mind it's not real anyways. Plus, I don't want to force you into something you don't understand anyways, because that can actually cause you to repel God anyways. Even if God was real, it would force you away from him. It's sad when a lot of your friends tell you that the reason why they stop believing in a religious system of any kind is because of the people that are in it, not because of the religious belief itself. And I don't have any problem with people going out and believing what they want to believe. I can't send you to heaven or hell. I have no say in that. All I know is what I can do for myself. And if that means going to philosophy for helping me understand God, then fine. Even if knowledge is a little bit of a failed factor, then fine. Knowledge is a failed factor. And what I mean by that is basically that it's a failed factor in what's important, because it's a failed idea. Science is a failed concept, whatever that means. I don't know why I said that. I guess science doesn't matter, therefore it's flawed, because it doesn't matter when you get to heaven or hell or when you become one with the earth anymore. Maybe it does. Maybe there's a reincarnation system. We can scientifically prove it. I don't know. I don't care. All I understand is that I understand That philosophy is a very powerful system. Love is powerful. Love's a weapon. I understand that not everyone's going to get to heaven. I understand not everyone's going to believe in God. I understand nobody's going to believe in Jesus. The core of knowledge is a very tricky thing in religion, and understanding all that. Because if it weren't for the fact that it was filtered through humans, I would read the Bible. But I can't. But it's so ironic that I think Jesus died on the cross for our sins. But that's because that's what my heart tells me. My heart tells me God sent Jesus. My heart tells me that. Not so much, yeah, the church told us that, but it makes sense. For some reason, my heart says, yes, this is truth. That's fine. I can believe that. You have every right to believe otherwise. But philosophy is an interesting thing because it's not necessarily a religion. It is to a point, because Buddhism is based probably solely on philosophy, and then some. But philosophy and religion is a conflicting concept sometimes. And it's okay. I'm not asking them to correspond and get along. It's like siblings. You can't force them to get along. When they do, it's great, but when you force them together when they don't want to, don't. It's just going to create hell. But at least, if anything, I can lay back and know that what I absorb around me in this dimension, whatever this dimension is, I can study it. I know that the chair I'm sitting in is a chair based on what my mind tells me, and so what if it's not real? It's giving me the source that I need to sit down and relax. At the same time, I can know that it's giving me a purpose, therefore it's doing its job. What if I find out that in real life this isn't real? In reality, the purest sense of reality is not earth, but heaven and hell. So what? You know, I can learn about this world. It's no different than a hacker learning about the Matrix and learning about the data and how the system works. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it won't matter in the truth of the world that you actually live in, which is outside the Matrix, or in this case it would be heaven or hell. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being knowledgeable in the world that we live in. It's just that you gotta understand that it just won't be beneficial whenever you pass on. It might be why knowledge is a bad rep. But that's okay. I'm not gonna sit here and babble about how I think knowledge is a failed system. And it saddens me that people don't understand philosophy, and that people don't understand the concepts of reality and what that means. You know, what is reality? What is knowledge? What is virtue? Can it be taught? What is the men in the cave story, and why study philosophy? And yet, I can look at it and go, okay, I can still connect this to my faith. It makes me sad when people don't get it. It makes me sad when I say something and somebody doesn't understand, and how close-minded people are. And just how sad people are. I'm a sad person by default anymore, and it's sad that I'm sad, because I don't want to be sad. I'm stressed. I'm drained all the time. I just don't want that sadness anymore, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I can do some things about it. I could just force myself to be happy, but like, yay, I'm happy when I'm not. You know, that helps you to a point, but it won't help you solve the problem. What am I doing this for? Why am I even saying this? Well, I've been forced in conflictions of faith and reality. I want to hold on to my faith. It's pulled me through a lot of things, so I can't discard it. But at the same time, I want to be knowledgeable. I want to be wise. I want to be strong, a master of that concept of myself and what that means for me, and a master of myself and whatever that means. But I also want to be a master of being able to step outside of myself and say, okay, I can go to God, and I have a relationship with Him, and I do have this system that works for both ends. I wish I had the ability to travel in and out of heaven. Just go to heaven, come back. At will. Live here and then go to heaven on vacation if I ever get sick in the head. But philosophy is important. It allows us to think. It allows us to go beyond what we normally do. So even if we can't understand what the end of the tunnel looks like, and even if we could say, God's not real, Bible was written for political purposes, it was written to create falsehoods in our head, That's all it is. So what? We've learned so much from it anyways. Political standpoint or not. Theoretical, ethical, moral, philosophy, logic, ethics, the three triforces of the world, logic, philosophy, and ethics. And then it has provided us some good. And everybody would probably ask you, Megan, what's the whole point in studying philosophy if we still don't have an end? You know, I think, therefore I am. Me as my own self. So what? If it boils down to me, then what does that mean? I don't really know yet. I don't know what that means. You know, if the only truth we know is that ourselves, then how do we know what that means? All I can say is dig. Take your shovel and dig. Dig, dig, dig. Dig as far as you can go. And if you hit a metal rock, dig around it. Dig some more. Let your brain be flexible. And don't just go in one direction. Let's say you hit a rock and no matter which direction, left or right, you dig and you can't find anything. Dig forward. Go up a little bit and dig there. Dig, 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 dig. Just dig in whatever direction your shovel leads you. Let it go. Let your shovel be the guide for once instead of you. Let it take you where it can take you. And maybe we'll have a more powerful tool that'll allow us to dig so far we won't need the shovel anymore. We can use a drill to get through the concrete bedded rocks. Who knows? It's okay to dig. There's nothing wrong with getting us a little dirty every now and then. I wish people knew how to be flexible with their brains and just think. Why can't people just think? It's okay to think. It's not a curse. It's okay to think. It's okay to come up with concepts and ideas and the true ideas of God and love, logic and love, and what does it mean to be passionate? What's it mean to be virtuous? What's it mean for this, this, and this? Even if we don't come to a conclusion, we can still take our discoveries that we've learned while digging, take those interesting rocks, take those fossils, take them back to the surface, apply them to our life, and when we come to another problem, we go somewhere else, and we dig some more and bring it back. Even if we don't find the center core, it'll help the surface. That's all that matters, right? It's trying to help the surface of the globe. Even if we find the core of the center, I think it'll be like real lava and we probably burn up. I don't think we can actually truly ever get there. We never may ever will. But doing this is still healthy. It allows us to flex our brains. It allows us to think in a way that we normally don't. And it stretches our brains out. It gives our brains a workout. Even if you never hit your weight goal, you're healthier than you were 3 weeks ago, right? So why stop working out? Keep going. Even if you don't hit your goal, it's better for you in the long run anyways. Go ahead. Do it. Keep pushing. It's okay. It won't hurt. Well, no, I can't say it won't hurt. But it will help. Don't let it beat you up. It's okay. Philosophy's not your enemy, nor is science, nor is religion. Religion's not the enemy. It's people using religion. That's the problem. Religion's not your enemy. Religion's not an enemy. It's the people who use religion. Everybody's like, well, organized religion is evil. I'm like, no, people are evil. Organized religion could be people coming together and making better for their county, for their city, for their own houses. And yet, it's bad because it's organized. No, organized is a good thing. It's just people aren't using the organized system well. And it creates a problem. And it hurts people. And people are stupid. I'm sorry. People are stupid. It's the core problem is us people. We have this knowledge. We have this power to go farther than what anybody else has ever done. But all we do is sit around and watch Jersey Shore and kitten videos on YouTube, which isn't bad. You gotta let your brain take a break every once in a while. But I'm sorry, Jersey Shore gives me a headache. I don't understand why people don't want to think. I don't understand why people want to run away and hide. It's okay to let your brain flex. It's an organ. It needs to exercise. Exercise your brain. I don't have a problem if you want to go out and have faith and science. It's okay. I don't even have a problem if you want to have just faith or just science. It's okay. Just as long as it benefits mankind. And that's a weird thing too. What is truly beneficial for mankind? Because science would say to help us in the physical realms. Religion is supposed to help us in the spiritual realms. Our health mentally and emotionally and what that means for the afterlife if there is one. benefit can mean getting people off this planet that opposes God. But you're not God. You may have met him and have a relationship with him, but you can't decide it. It's like having a best friend. You want what's best for your best friend, so you ban everybody that you know, that you supposedly know that he or she wouldn't like. And then suddenly, you've done a good deed. Even though your best friend might have wanted to meet them on their own terms. Who are you to intervene and say that these people can't meet your God? You're not a bodyguard. I think he can take care of himself. And if they're not meant to go to heaven, I hate to be a cruel ass, but oh well, they won't go to heaven. That hurts too, because I have friends who won't go to heaven according to my religion. And I don't want that. I've already talked about that before in a previous podcast, but it's like, it's one of those really interesting things where you gotta sit back, relax, and go, yeah, it's okay. Let them go to God at their own terms. It's not your job. Knowledge has to be achieved through other people's means. Philosophy is okay. They have to find their own minds, their own hearts, and their own bodies to decide what is right for them. You are not them. You can't decide it even if it is a choice. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't care. It could be occupation. It could be lifestyle. You're not them. And for us to understand that is important. Vitally important for us to understand and know that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're not here to hurt people. We're trying to benefit ourselves. And knowledge is okay. Being spiritual is okay too, as long as it benefits people. If it means you are kind to everyone and you donate your money truly to the homeless, and that means giving it to the homeless person, not the church. It means giving your money to the homeless people, unless you know 100% that the money going from the church is going to the people, which mostly it isn't. So there's that. Also, I don't feel the churches should be an exception from the tax thing. I'm sorry, they need to be taxed too. Sorry. I'm an asshole for that, but it's the truth. I'm such a horrible person because I said that. Apparently. But it's okay. The world's not gonna break just because one person's religious or not. And I thank philosophy for letting me think this way, but I also thank God, because when I speak the words that I'm speaking, I'm not thinking this just from an intellectual point of view. I'm saying this for the goodness of all mankind. I'm saying this because I want it to benefit people. But yet others will look at me and go, you're not benefiting people by doing this because you don't believe in God fully and you don't believe in the Bible. Well, look at that. We have a conflict. Let's talk about it. Let's philosophically talk about this. But we can't talk about philosophy. The fact that you believe in a God is philosophy. Let's talk about it. Let's create something that means that the rich can do what they want, but the poor is no more. Let's do this so there's no sickness. Let's get to the point to where God is just gonna have to come back and go, hey, listen. You're a dick. You're an asshole. You're cool. You're a dick. You're an asshole. And it doesn't matter who he points to, too. Because he'll probably call the greatest preacher of all time an asshole. Maybe he'll call the Pope an asshole. Actually, I can't see God calling the current Pope, an asshole at all. That man, bless his heart, is amazing. But whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, I want to see mankind be so good at being on Earth and making so many improvements that God gets jealous and he comes back here early. Oh, wait. You guys are too good at this. You're making my heaven look bad. Guess what? I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come early. I'm canceling my appointments. I'm doing this early. Too bad, so sad. And you're all just gonna have to cry about it. You're a jerk, you're a jerk, you're an idiot, you're going to hell, you're cool, you're going to heaven with me, come on, let's go. You're cool, you're a jerk, you're an ass, you're a dick, you're a bigot, you're an asshole, you're a dick. Done! What is so wrong with that? So yeah, thanks for listening to my tangent. I hope you all have a fantastic night, and thanks for listening to a crappy mic, as I am using a voice recorder instead of my usual hookup because I wanted to listen to techno and music as I am babbling into this thing. And hopefully the sound isn't too bad for your liking, and may you all have a very joyful night. This is Megan reporting off. End of my rants of philosophy, knowledge, and religion. Okay, thanks, bye!